The shoe I wanted to introduce to everyone today and to show you about today is actually an Inov8 shoe. This is the Inov8 Trailroc 245. Inov8 really got to be almost the standard of obstacle course racing shoe a couple of years ago when there were a lot of X-Talon 190s showing up. A very minimal shoe that had very aggressive grip. The Trailroc, at least this particular Trailroc, the 245, isn't as aggressive and isn't as minimal. I use this shoe primarily to train in. If I'm going on a rocky mountain, my local mountain, Mount Wachusett, has quite a set of rocky trails, certainly near the summit, when some of the iceberg spikes or the iceberg carbide tips aren't necessarily going to be appropriate. So I tend to wear something like this with not quite so aggressive tread, something that's a little bit more sneaker-like. And to be honest, I've also worn this for road racing and road running because it is a fairly nice cushion that's relatively minimal. So just to kind of talk about the shoe a little, the upper is a mesh and a plastic. I believe they call this their TPU plastic. The mesh vents water really well and is really lightweight. It's also so far being pretty durable. A common issue I've had with, certainly with the Inov8 range, are things like these plastic panels peeling off. That's starting to happen a little bit here. The tread of this shoe isn't anything as aggressive as an X-Talon or perhaps some of the newer shoes like the Reebok All-Terrain that we've already reviewed, and the Salomon Fellraiser that we're going to do a review for. But that's what makes it a little more suitable when it's a rockier terrain or when I'm running on a road or know I've got a lot of road running to do, because it's still pretty stable on the ground. You don't get that feeling of running on marshmallows that you do with a very, very heavily trod, very heavy grip shoe. These lugs are just square lugs, they're fairly flat. I don't know how deep they are, but they're probably not even a third as deep as something like an X-Talon. This particular shoe has a plate across the middle, or a beam across the middle, to prevent flexing from side to side, but they're still pretty flexible to bend at the front. The sole itself is a 6mm sole, so it's not a very minimal sole, and it has the single chevron on the back, which in the Inov8 world tells me that this is a 3mm drop from the heel to the toe of the shoe. The lacing is pretty straightforward. The laces are nice enough. The tongue isn't formed or sealed on the side, it's only sealed at the bottom. But because of the mesh along the edges, this blue material is all mesh, and if you hold it up to the light you can see through it. It does shed and get rid of water pretty fast when you do get submerged. Overall, I like it. It's a relatively lightweight, 245 grams for the men's. I believe Inov8 measure them on the men's size 9 for the weight, but that's what the 245 or 245 means in this shoe model name. It's pretty lightweight, it's pretty minimal, but it's not so minimal that you can't use it to train in. My biggest gripe with this is that I don't wear it to race in. The Trailroc style tread just isn't aggressive enough for the sort of racing we do and the sort of terrain obstacle course racing tends to hit. So my Trailroc 245s tend to get relegated to road racing or to very, very light trail duty. Mostly I would say gravel trail and not off-road or mud or any kind of slick situation that we might be in. So would I recommend this? For obstacle course racing, there's a lot better alternatives, I would say. If you're looking for a training shoe or looking for something that you can do on roads as well, it's not a bad choice. It's a nice, comfortable shoe. So that's the Trailroc 245.